right hand.
Aaron, will your life?
I do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you get your TFS done right away?
Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, contract out whatever you can, so you don't have to. All right, sign this, make yourself a copy, keep the original, just scan me a copy. And I have 2 class 9s and a class 1 for you guys. I'll be last place. Thank you so much for bumping me up on the agenda.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Okay, back to the superintendent report.
Enrollment for the beginning of the school year, this was as of Friday. West Side, 281 students, is an increase of 8 from May. Central, 252 students, is a decrease by 18 from May. Middle school, 289, an increase of 9 from May. And high school, 346, which is an increase of 8 from May. So total is 1,168 students, and that's an increase overall of 7 students per district. Calendar of events is posted here for you. A number of them are going on tonight. First day for practice starts on Friday, and middle school practice begins on Monday. And our first home activity is on Tuesday, August 18th. We have a high school JV golf tournament here at the country club. Friday the 21st, we have our maroon and white scrimmages at the high school for volleyball and for football. And on Friday, Friday the 21st, golf is out of town. August 28th, varsity football at Livingston. And August 28th and 29th, we also have volleyball at Livingston as well for the opening there. And then there's other activities listed there for you to look at as well. So if you get a chance to get out and support the teams, that would be excellent. Strategic plan, all the items were discussed at the weekly administration meeting on Tuesday, August 4th. It was also discussed today during our opening presentation PIR day at Central Schools. Labor Management Committee, the next meeting is scheduled for September 29th, 2026 at 4:15. It's not at the high school library, it's here at the administration office.
What board members are on that?
How many do you want?
Usually 2. I guess it was 2 when we made it quorum.
It used to be, so, yeah.
It could be 3.
It could be.
Yeah, it just can't be 4. You could be 3.
And we just meet right here. Buildings and grounds, Central School, the bell systems are updated and ready for the new school year. We had to replace about 6 to 8 sections of concrete on the north side of the building that was crumbling and had become a hazard. And then we're in the process of replacing the ADA warning tile on the northwest corner of the sidewalk. That's due to the pitch of the road. As it melts, it drains into that area and then freezes again, and that was a polycarbonate ADA thing that we had there, and it just cracked up. They said today that they could go down about 1.5 inches before they hit solid concrete, because the salt then gets inside of there and just eat away at the concrete. So we're replacing them with metal so that they won't crack up like the polycarbonates. High school replaced a section of the roof that the gym roof landed on. That has been taken care of. Teal Brothers took care of that, and we replaced light fixtures in the welding shop to provide adequate lighting. Middle school, we replaced a hot water heater in the gym that was leaking into the storage area. That has been done now. They have new door intercom cameras that have been installed, and we're working. The 3rd floor right now does not have air conditioning. MTI and AGRU were working on it, and today MTI decided it's probably something with the Train company that does the air conditioning, so they are going to be sending out a representative of Train to see what the issue is and how we get the air conditioning going on the 3rd floor. West side, just minor cement work again. We had some areas that was cracking up that needed to be replaced. Administration building, we now have an exterior camera to the parking lot installed. Bus barn, we're installing 2 additional vent fans in hope of stopping the false alarms that were occurring over the summer months due to the high temperatures. We even had the doors cracked open, and we were still setting off fire alarms in there. We had 2 cutouts for exhaust fans in that building where all they did was put a vent over it. They didn't bother to install the exhaust fans back when they built it, so we're having those exhaust fans installed. We also will be replacing the sensors for the alarms that are currently set at 140 degrees up to 195 degrees, and that will also reduce the number of false alarms. The problem with the false alarms is if we don't get to them soon enough, they send somebody out of buildings to come down and take care of it, and then we pay mileage and per diem for them to do that, so.
Is there a safety risk?
There is not. I talked with Martin about that. He said if you're gonna have a fire in there, it's gonna be over 195 degrees anyway, so that's not gonna be an issue. False alarms also impact law enforcement, the fire department, and then, like I said, they've had to send employees down on holidays where we're paying extra for them to come down here and take care of those. All 5 buildings received new cameras, and the one on the scoreboard is in place now to give a better view of what's happening in that north parking lot at the high school. School safety, IT has replaced new cameras in all 5 buildings. Threat assessments, we did not have a threat assessment over the summer. There was no NEMAS meeting in July. They will start up again here soon, and I will be attending those meetings. That's our superintendent's meetings for the Northeast section. Big topic will be accreditation. We are in the cycle for accreditation to the state of Montana this year, and they have changed the accreditation platform and stuff that we have to submit to them. Attendance is going to be one of the ones that we will be looking at now. Student attendance, which fortunately our student attendance overall has been pretty good. So. Curriculum, grades K through 5 will begin using their new reading curriculum that we purchased for them at CKLA. It's out of Amplify. Has strong ratings, and they will be spending time with the APIS program, putting that information in the fall. The middle school and high school with Atlas will start their vertical alignment meetings in the core subject areas. So your math, reading, English, and science will start their vertical articulation, looking at the standards, making sure that everything's being covered, looking for redundancies, and then anything that needs to be changed within that curriculum. Indian Education for All, again, all staff received brief training on Indian Education for All this morning, and the state law that is applicable to the Indian Education for All was taken care of. I've actually already received one email from a teacher that's going to be including a lesson in English class on that. So, Insurance Committee, after moving to the State Bridge Alliance Insurance Program, the district will need to assess the needs to the number of meetings that this committee has throughout the year. I would recommend that we have some in the spring, winter, spring, to see how the transition to the new insurance is going. This committee is in the master agreement, but the function of the committee will have to evolve with the changing of the state to the state insurance. District Technology Committee, 200 new Chromebooks have been put in place at the middle school. It has taken about 400 older Chromebooks with the underlying goal of cutting back our overinflated Chromebook numbers. The devices removed have had known expanding battery issues, and the computer lab at the middle school has been changed to Chrome boxes with the option of ordering Windows desktops if we need to. And I think that they're using most of those Chromebooks are going to the buyback program, so that we can get some money back out of those. Mondac Area Stockgrowers Association, Mary Hall, the Mondac Stockgrowers Association notified the school district that they will be donating $10,000 to purchase local beef for the school district. The money was raised to their annual Cattlemen's Ball. The award was presented on August 10th during the open BIR. It actually wasn't because the board member that was supposed to present it was taking her child to college, and so she will be presenting that again at another time. I did include in here the COSBA updates. I'd like to just put in a little bit about what's going on federally so that you are aware of it. This one is the plans from the federal government to consider doing away or eliminating or weakening or eliminating the E-rate program. E-rate is what we use to pay for our internet connections through Mid-Rivers. Is there anything else that we use E-rate for? Nathan?
They cover a few other things like network switches and some Wi-Fi, depending on the categories they choose for the year.
should happen to disappear, the schools are still financially obligated under their existing contracts to pay off those contracts. So, just so you're aware that nothing has been decided on that, but that is a proposal that is within the budget that they're considering at the federal level right now. Informational, I sent the board members information on the MCEL conference in Billings on October 13th through the 15th. If you do plan to attend, I would like you to let me know so we can make sure that we get reservations for you at the motel that they're having the MCEL conference at. It's a good opportunity for you to learn from other board members as far as what your responsibilities, and you can get a feeling for what's going on in other school districts around the state. So if you can make it to those dates, let me know, and I will have Landon get you reservations and get you registered for that. Job openings, industrial tech ed teacher, that's listed. Roger Merritt will be coming back, I think, to take that position. I have not heard officially. Is he still planning on coming back?
Can we have that conversation?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Special education teacher, elementary teacher, special education aide. I think we only need one special education aide now, and that's at the middle school. Special education teachers, we did hire two. We got one from Wyoming who's transferring here with her husband, who is being relocated here, and we hired one from India, who they both should be starting on the 17th or in that general area. The one from India was a special ed teacher in South Carolina for 5 years, and she's on an exchange program, so they can only be here for a certain number of years. They have to go back to their host country for 2 years, then they come back again. So, we're full on Title aides right now. Full-time elementary secretary, we will be interviewing a couple applicants for that, hopefully this week. High school drill team coach, middle school cheerleading coach, high school assistant basketball coach, and I had an application in for that today.
There was a path today.
Yeah, there was a path on that one today, so that position may be filled as well. School psychologist, we're gonna talk about later. The part-time elementary secretary position has been filled. We're still looking for bus route drivers, substitute teachers, substitute and activity drivers. Right now, custodian-wise, we're full, and we actually have one that we were looking at as a substitute custodian. And then the other coaching positions that are open there, although I did have a number of, I had 2 pass, I think, for middle school volleyball coaching today as well. So, transfers, transferring Alicia Minor from high school special ed aide to Westside special ed aide. Stephen Koppel, 6th grade elementary boys basketball coach to middle school boys basketball coach. Haley Bucksbaum, middle school volleyball coach to 6th grade elementary volleyball coach. Wanda Benson, 1st grade teacher to 2nd grade teacher. Haley Cardell, central school special ed aide to 4th grade special education aide. And Landon White from superintendent's assistant social media to assistant business manager. So she'll be taking Michelle's position. Resignation, Cedric Helberson as the middle school, high school choir teacher. Julie Batty as central school administrative secretary. Latasha Boyson, middle school special ed aide. Carl Dennison, high school principal. Travis Morrill, middle school football coach. Marianne Norby, west side part-time secretary. Lonnie Swigert, middle school football coach. And Jeff Sawani, high school assistant basketball coach. And then there's page 6 in here we're skipping for right now. That is the superintendent's report. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. All right. Approval of meeting minutes. We're skipping to page 6. It's going to be, again, it's a copy of page 20. I don't know how that moved to page 6, so we're just going to skip page 6. Page 7 through page 9 are the meeting minutes from the June 22nd board meeting. Did anybody have any changes or anything that you needed to make to the board to those minutes? Okay, pages 10 through 17 is the financial. Page 10 is the new ASB account that we need to set up for the class of 2033. Page 11 is the student body transfer request form. It's the end of the year talent split, how that is split amongst the groups. 12 is, I think just the breakdown of how they determine the amounts that were listed on the bottom there. Page 13 is still a continuation of that. Page 14 is the participation fee split. So as people are paying the participation fees to participate and where that money goes. Page 15 is again the participation split on that, broken down. Page 16 is investments. And page 17 is also investments. We will have to update the district bank account, and that'll be in the consent agenda when I go through that. Because Tracy retired, we have to have new signatures on the bank account. So Michelle will get additional signatures, and then Landon will be included in some of the signatures on that as well. Out of district attendance applications, page 18 and 19 are the applications that we received that will be up for approval. And page 20 is the one that will be up for us to deny in. And then page 21 and 22 are the out-of-district students that we have that are asking to attend school out of city district. Page 23 is our memorandum of understanding with the Rural Behavioral Health Institute. We've been signed up to do this for a number of years now. It's universal screening for suicide risks. The parents have the option of opting their children out of that particular program. They provide same-day safety check-ins for students who have reported recent suicidality. And care navigation for families of eligible students. They screen twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring, right? Okay. And that's grades 6 through 12 that we do that screening. So the rest of this going up through page 43 is just the agreement that we have with the Rural Behavioral Health Institute. Page 44 is the ending of that, yes. And then starting on page 45 are the bus routes. Anytime we have students who have to cross the street in front of the bus, the board has to approve those routes. So Martin sent the routes to us. These are the same routes that were approved last year. Nothing has changed on our bus routes for this year. But we're still gonna have areas where students are going to be crossing the street in front of the bus. And as a safety factor, the board has to approve those bus routes for them to do that.
Just out of curiosity, is it possible, or have we ever had like a bus stop rather than, cause I know that there's some places that the bus will stop, it's like right here at this door of the apartment complex and then a little bit further down at the apartment complex. I mean, just to make the routes a little bit more short.
Have one location where.
Yeah, you know, just like a one centrally located, cause like, for example, my kids rode the bus 2 years ago, and it takes me like 8 minutes to get to Central, and they were on the bus for 45 minutes there and 45 minutes back. So, and they weren't even the first ones on the bus. So it's like any way that we can consolidate a little bit and just less stop and go.
I can visit with them
Yeah,
about
I mean,
that.
just,
I know they used to do that with some routes because we had a bus driver where students would be coming down the street to get on the bus and it was past the time that he was supposed to leave, so he would just leave.
sure, well,
But,
hopefully that one, but, yeah, I mean, it's just a thought, maybe it's a safety issue or something too, but if it would be feasible and helpful, then maybe.
Well, the fewer stops you have to make. Yeah.
Right.
So I can talk to Mark about that. Page 53 is our contract with the school psychologist. When Jill Albertson took a job elsewhere, we have not been able to fill that position. It has been listed now for almost 2 years. So we have been contracting with Lisa Stroh to do our school psychologist. She comes out of, I think she's up on the Highline area, close to the Havre area. And she comes down and does our school psychologist stuff for us. So that's a contract, it's very similar to the same contract that we had with her last year, only a few minor changes in that. Page 55 is our memorandum of understanding that we have with Boys and Girls Club, as they lost their bus driver to a health issue last year. The bus driver still has not been cleared to come back. So they asked if they could ride the transfer bus somewhere from West Side to $12 per student who is not already signed up to be on the bus. So if they were already signed up to be on the bus, they don't get charged. But if they're students that are just riding the transfer bus from West Side to Boys and Girls Club, it'll be $12 a month, and they're going to provide us with a list of names of those students at the end of every month.
Is it 12 or
It says 25 on that.
No, it's not, it's 12, sorry. It is 12, negotiated to 12, and they're providing us with a rider on that bus to monitor behavior.
I just have to overload that transfer bus.
No, because most of them are already students that are paying the bus anyway. So,
And they did it last year.
they did it last year, yeah, we did it for the last half last year after they had the health issues on. So that is the consent agenda. There is also, she put that in here, so consent she did. On page 60 are the administrative transfers that we made in the district, and that's on the bottom of the consent agenda. Kylie Young's middle school assistant principal, it's a 200-day contract, and her salary is listed on there at $80,000. Danny Coriel, high school principal, 200 days, $95,000. Ashley Koppel, middle school, or high school assistant principal, 200 days at $88,000. And then Chris Lee, athletic director, is 205 days, and that'll be $83,000.
Did you do that?
No, we haven't read through the consent agenda yet.
Oh.
Just going through the info so they know where everything is. All right, so we're ready for the consent agenda. All right, the consent agenda. Approval of minutes. All recorded board meeting minutes must be reviewed and approved at the following board meeting. As you review the meeting minutes, please make note of any additions or changes that need to be made. Recommendation to approve the board meeting minutes for board meeting on June 22nd, 2026 with any noted necessary agreed upon changes. Warrants and claims. In accordance with board policy 7326, all financial obligations and disbursements must be properly documented. Documentation must specifically describe the goods and services acquired and the proper budget item for appropriations. Also, the creation of an ASB account number 423 for the class of 2033, new account for the incoming 6th grade class. Recommendation to approve all claims, payments, cancellations in the new account as presented. ASB accounts and transfers in accordance with board policy 7425, the board of trustees shall conduct a monthly review of the ASB account balances reported by the deputy fund custodian. Recommendation to approve ASB balances and any transfer request as presented. 2026-2027 change accounts. At the beginning of each school year, the principals require change to enable staff to receive payment for school lunch, activity tickets, gate admission, and athletic events, and for other student fees. The following request for change accounts is submitted for consideration by the board. High school ASB $3,200, middle school ASB $300. Recommendation to approve the 2026-2027 change accounts as listed. Update to district bank account signatures. Due to the resignation of the district clerk, Tracy Glick, updated signatures are needed on the District 5 petty cash accounts effective August of 2026. The Stockton Bank District 5 petty cash include Michelle Lambert and Landon White. SPS payroll account include Lauren Barnhart, Michelle Lambert, and Landon White. The county treasurer added for transfers between county and school. Associated student body account, the board chair, Michelle Lambert, and Landon White. District warrants with Richland County Courthouse, Ben Thogerson, Michelle Lambert, and Landon White. And the flexible spending account, Michelle Lambert, Ben Thogerson, and Lauren Barnhart. Recommendation, update district bank account signatures as noted above. Boys and Girls Club busing MOU for the 2026-2027 school year. We've had a good working relationship for a number of years with the Boys and Girls Club. Last school year, Boys and Girls Club lost their bus driver to transport students from West Side Elementary School to the Boys and Girls Club. At this time, they do not have a bus driver for the 26-27 school year and have asked to contract with City Public Schools for the 26-27 school year. We have a good working relationship for a number of years with them, and my recommendation would be to approve the busing contract with Boys and Girls Club for the 2026-2027 school year. School psychologist contract. We have been advertising for the school psychologist position for over a year now with limited success. We had a couple of individuals apply but did not have the necessary credentials for a school psych position. Mrs. Munson researched some off-site programs, and we were able to work out a deal that will allow the district to continue to receive necessary services for identified students. The agreed upon contract comes out to about $2,000 per student tested. The number of students tested in the past 4 years is roughly 35 to 45 students. This would put our budget for these services at approximately $90,000. That is slightly more than we would have paid after insurance. This contract includes all travel, room, board expenses on the contractor. Recommendation, agree to the terms of the school psychologist contract with Lisa Stroh for the 26-27 school year. Bus route and crossing approvals in accordance with board policy 8110, the board reserves the right to change, alter, or add, or delete any routes at any time. Such changes are deemed in the best interest of the district. The board of trustees shall approve all bus stops requiring a child to cross a roadway to enter a bus. Those specific stops are marked with black X's on the bus route diagrams provided. Recommendation, approve all bus crossings for the 26-27 school year as presented above. Rural Behavior Institute MOU, the Sidney Middle and High Schools have been utilizing RBHI for mental health screenings of our students since the 22-23 school year. This program has benefited a number of students that may have otherwise gone without necessary mental health services. This program flags students whose screener puts them at some risk or high risk of anxiety or other significant mental health concerns. If a student is flagged at high risk, they meet with an online professional that day to set up a plan that is tailored to their needs. This program is an opt-out program, meaning that if parents do not wish for their child to participate, they can sign a form excluding them from the screener. Recommendation, continue to use the use of RBHI services with the approval of the MOU presented in the packet. 2026-2027 out-of-district student attendance agreements accepted. Pursuant to policy 3141, each year the board considers out-of-district requests for students to attend city schools. Discretionary admission is based on Montana Code 20-5-321. District policy grants the superintendent authority to recommend to the board any student admission with certain conditions. The board makes the final decision on admission. Policy 3141 allows children in the immediate family of non-resident district employees to attend city schools. According to policy 3141, admission in one school year does not imply or guarantee admission in subsequent years and pursuant to policy. In accordance with district policy 3141 and section 20-5-320, the school district is required to provide specific reasons for the denial of the application. Under our strategic plan, the approval would result in exceeding the limit of the building construction standards pursuant to Title 50, Chapter 60, Montana Code annotated. Capacity and ingress and egress elements, either by individual room or by school building, or any fire code authorized under Title 50, Chapter 3, or evacuation elements of the district's adopted school safety plan. 2, the approval would risk jeopardizing the educational quality adopted by the board in the district's strategic plan or plan for continuous improvements specified in policy 1610 because the non-resident child who was applying was a truant as defined in section 20-5-106 Montana Code annotated in the last school district attended, expelled by another school district at any time, or suspended in another school district or in any of the 3 school fiscal years preceding the school fiscal year for which attendance is requested. This subsection C does not apply to a student who is eligible for special education or related services. And 3, the approval would impede meeting goals, standards, or objectives of quality education adopted by the board in the district's strategic plan or plan for continuous improvement specified in policy 1610. A list of included students is provided without identification markers to protect the privacy of the students and the families requesting attendance in city school district. The recommendation for acceptance of out-of-district requests will reflect only the individuals listed. And I have listed there the recommended applications for approval. Recommendation, I recommend to approve the out-of-district attendance for the students listed above. 2026-2027 out-of-district student attendance agreements denied. Pursuant to policy 3141, each year the board considers out-of-district requests for students to attend city schools. Discretionary admission is based on Montana Code 20-5-321. District policy grants the superintendent authority to recommend to the board any student admission with certain conditions. The board makes the final decision on admission. We are already above the 90% threshold per class for grade 2 based on our strategic plan. Recommendation is to deny the out-of-district attendance for student 38. 2026-2027 neighboring school attendance request. Each year, neighboring school districts receive attendance requests for families residing within our district. These schools are required to send us an out-of-district attendance agreement for these students for board approval or acknowledgement. This is the same process we follow for the out-of-district attendance requests received by parents residing outside our district wanting to come into our district. Recommendation: acknowledge the attendance requests for in-district students to attend requested school districts as presented above. New hires: Shelby Bain, middle school custodian; Taryn Martin, K-1 teacher; Courtney Lutz, high school math title teacher; Mary Heroes, middle school special education aide; Rodney Bell, central school custodian; Carly Bucksbaum, central school special education aide; Sheila Marker, speech aide; Tamara O'Toole, west side title aide; Wesley Zawani, speech aide; Amelia Lubin, central school food service; Nicole Tehista, west side admin secretary; Heidi Tenengour, middle school special ed aide; Teresa DeWitt, middle school special education teacher; Christy Gerald Edwin, middle school special education teacher; Tiffany Dunn, central school special education aide; Marcy Harrison, superintendent assistant social media; and then the administrative transfers are listed there. Recommendation: approve the employment of the recommended hires for corresponding school years pending reference and background checks. Approve the transfers of the administrators with the stated salary and the number of days.
The AD isn't on the new hires.
Yeah, we added AD because we just got that one finalized. Chris Lee, athletic director, 205 days at 83,000.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Is there any applicants for the, elementary school teacher? Or anything else?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing yet. If something comes up during the year, we're definitely look at it, but at this point, we haven't anything.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we did district clerk. We did swearing. Budget.
All right, 2026 budget hearing for districts 1 and 5, and along with that, I think we'll be discussing the oil and gas and tax evaluation. So I am going to turn this over to Nikki Meyer, and she can tell you what all this means.
So this might not be.
Our tax evaluation,
All right.
that's good, first time in a while it's gone up.
Okay, we'll start with the individual sheet on the taxable valuations. We get those from the county, usually fair time. We didn't get them until last week on Tuesday, so like Thompson, we're a little bit behind on getting things entered because to do the budgets, we need to have that. You can see that after a number of years of decreasing, they have finally increased a little bit, and these are all based on state assessments of property, and they are looked at ever so many years, and your taxable valuations are based on your equipment. Like for instance, a few years ago, we would have lost MDU, and we would have lost Holly Sugar, or whatever they were. And that affects your taxable valuation because you have less property to tax. The two different districts, District 5 is pretty much your in-town, it does go out a little bit. District 1 is your high school, so it picks up like Row and Burleson. We have a piece in Lambert, Ritchie, Culbertson, not Fairview. So, and Savage, so we have little bits of taxable value in all of those in elementary districts. Okay, the next sheets are that are stapled together. The top one are the proposed budgets by fund. Those are the funds that by state law we have to budget for. And the first column shows what our anticipated budgets are. The second column shows what our anticipated levy is, taxable levy, and then the levy mills. And then it compares it to last year, so you have kind of an idea of how much those change. Now, because our taxable valuations went up, the number of mills you need have decreased somewhat because you have more property that you're taxing, so it's going to decrease your mills. You won't need as many mills. It doesn't change the dollar amount. The mills match what you need for dollars. The general funds are in purple on both of these sheets. There's the elementary and the high school, and we're pretty much locked in by law as to what we can budget on those. Those are the maximum budgets for both of them. You'll notice that the mill levies on both of those went down significantly, and that is because your legislature changed the way they are funding what's called the base budget. Your base budget is 80% of maximum budget, and by law, every district has to at least have that base budget set. What they did is instead of us levying for it, it's a county-wide levy now. So that, it's probably made the county look really bad because that's why their mills went up. They're picking up all the schools in the county. They're picking up their county-wide, their base levy. So it'll spread, for instance, District 5 would have just been mostly the people in town. Now it's gonna be county-wide. So it should lower our taxes. We'll see how it works. This is the first year they've done this. And then the overbase budget is the amount between 80% and 100%. And we're always at maximum because we can't even fund our budgets with our general fund. We have to use flex fund and other methods to pay for our budgets because we've always believed in small class sizes, that type of thing. So we're always paying more than what's in that general fund budget. But your overbase budget is the one that you would normally go to your taxpayers and ask for an increase in your mill levy. We haven't done that for a number of years because with getting oil and gas money, we want to use the excess oil and gas money to pay that so the taxpayers don't have to. So, and this year, if you look, the next page should have your general fund budgets actually. The elementary's in this column, high school's in this column, but if you look at the bottom, we kind of show you the oil and gas that we needed to use last year versus the oil and gas this year. And you'll notice that those amounts went down. We don't need as much oil and gas to fund those budgets as we did last year. And part of that is because a few years ago, the state has what they call a guaranteed tax base because there are districts in the state that don't need a minimum amount for their taxable valuation, doesn't need a minimum amount. So they adjust for that, and that's been increasing. As that increases, we don't need as much taxes. It's supposed to take some off the taxpayers. So it'll show you that we aren't using quite as much, and it'll also show you the increases in the budget. And as you can tell, the increase in the high school was a whole $6,613. That doesn't pay for much. That probably doesn't pay for one MDU bill. So that's not much of an increase when you consider your salaries. In particular, 80% of our, at least 80% of our budgets go towards salaries. So that makes it look a little rougher. The other ones that are being budgeted on this, transportation is where we pay for the bus services, not activities. Activities has to come out of the general fund, so any basketball, any sports or activity traveling comes out of the general fund. But the transportation's there for you to buy buses, comes out of the bus depreciation. Tuition that changes this last year too, and so that one on here is kind of iffy because we need to look at it, but last year the state decided that all of these agreements that you're agreeing to, like they have to pay us if they have our students, we have to pay them if we have their students, and it comes out of that tuition. The other thing that comes out of tuition is if we have special education students that particularly are considered high cost, and usually that means they have an individual aid. A portion of that can be also done here, and then a part of that aid can be paid out of here to take some of the pressure off the general funds. Your retirement fund is countywide, that's why it doesn't show mill levy, and that's to pay for all of your employer taxes on your staff. And that includes their retirement, mandated retirement for teachers, retirement and public retirement. Okay, the adult ed is our adult education, and we also pay for, I'm trying to remember, I think it's 5% of the assistant principal from the high school because they oversee that program out of here. And then we also make a $2,500 donation to the GED program. It's not really a donation, it's specifically taxed so that we can pay towards the GED program. We've done that for probably 10 years. Technology is where we pay for almost all of our software and our computers and our equipment, the things they need to run that. The Flex Fund was something that was started by the government probably, 20 years ago. Time flies when you're as old as I am. I was there when it started, so. But the Flex Fund is where we can't levy for that, but we can put oil and gas money in it. And you can see the amount for the elementary is down. That's because the elementary doesn't get a lot of oil and gas money. And we've been using it to pay teachers or administrators in the past to help with the budget. Debt service is our taxes. We don't pay taxes, we pay lighting, garbage, those kind of things, the fee for the landfill, those types of things. And so that budget is set up there. And building reserve is set up for if you have unexpected expenses. And they actually have it set up now. We have a levy in there. It's a certain amount that you can't go above, and then the state will match about half of that. And like we use that for cameras, to replace the cameras in all the new buildings. This heating stuff that Tom has been talking about, that will come out of there. Anything like that that would just take your general fund and drain it is what we use out of here. In the past, they've always tried to keep somewhere in the area of 900,000 to $1 million in there because especially heating systems are extremely expensive. The roof, and insurance is supposed to pick that up, but anything insurance doesn't pick up, we can cover with the roof. So that's what those are used for, just so you have an idea of what they're used for. Tracy's putting in for us to complete this, our annual report for what we call the trustees financial report has to be finished first, and we're still making some adjustments on that. So we can't finish the budget because they wanna know how much money we have left from last year that's gonna help fund the budget. So Tracy's working on that remotely through the computer, and there's still things we need to do. That's why these aren't really set. Your general funds aren't going to change, but the other ones could change a little bit. Okay, then we want to talk about a couple of the funding issues. If you go to the third page, I have the technology funds on there, and those show you what the beginning cash balance, I wrote that on there for 25, 26, and how much oil and gas we put in there. But it also shows you at the very first number up there is what your cash balance is now. The circled numbers are what we spent out of there this year. So as you can see, and the reason the elementary looks so tough is because we have the elementary set up in most cases to pay 67% of a cost, and the high school to pay 33, unless you can tell it's specific for the elementary. My suggestion for this year is to consider flip-flopping that, because as you can tell, there's a lot more cash in the technology fund in the high school. And they only spent $132,000, which is probably 33% of the total 500,000. And to maybe look at keeping the oil and gas is down, which is your last page. No, you might get them. Oh, no, oil and gas is in your
That's
packet.
in the back page
We've got our first payment
67.
as of August 1st. And in the elementary, it's down 22%, or 33,000 from last year, and 107,000 in the high school, or 34%. We have enough already to start putting some in technology in elementary because we didn't need very much general fund. In the high school, not quite. So I'm thinking, because that's already looking down, and we can use the flex fund to pay for the computers, but I still think you wanna look at 200 to 300,000 in your elementary tech fund, and maybe like 50,000 in the high school. That's something you guys will have to talk about, because for the final budgets, I'll need to do that. I know Ben was on that. The next page is your interdistrict fund. That is what's paying for your elementary. All of your administrators are coming out of there. Well, you don't have a curriculum director this year, part of your superintendent, part of your AD, all your elementary custodial supplies, and your Friday school tutors for all schools, through high school. And you can see this year that we spent $741,500. We transferred $500,000, and this comes out of the high school flex fund, which gets most of the oil and gas money. So we're already in the hole. I just got an email from the county today because they did our July, and we're in the hole close to $2,000. And I told them to just wait, that this is gonna be on next. We're gonna have another meeting to adopt budgets, and it's gonna be on that meeting to see about, moving money into there from that fund. And so I also attached the flex fund on the next page to show you the cash that's available and the cash that has to be reserved for instance, Montana, where we are eligible for a Montana Advanced Opportunities Grant. Of that million that's in there right now, 66,675 of that is this grant. And that has to go to certain things at the high school level. We've used it for nursing books, CDL, because we offer CDL through there. What's the other thing I'm not thinking of?
They'll be using it for the new flight class that they're having in high school.
There's something else.
And the student store.
Oh, yes, the student store that they started through business department, they purchased a whole bunch of t-shirt equipment and hat equipment, and they're going to make and print things and run an actual store through the business there, and that money came out of there. So right now, we have $945,000 available. We're probably gonna need $700,000 for One 82, but I would do it in two payments. I would do one now because we are in the hole, and then I'd look at it again in the spring after you see where the oil and gas is at. Let's see.
And oil and gas, you said is in the years right out. I mean,
It's not in the it's down.
oh, we get 18 months, I mean, it's 18 months out.
Yes,
Yeah.
because supposedly, and it's increasing in our area.
It should be.
Because I know that, my niece's husband mentioned that he has a new well going on where he's at.
Yeah, with oil prices going up, people are popping holes.
But we just won't see that income for almost 2 years.
Right.
So
Why does it take so long?
it's just set up by law for 18
Where
months.
does it go in?
It goes to the state, and then the state determines how much you're gonna get. And we can't budget for it because we don't know. We just kind of guess, and we don't know how much we're gonna get.
How does the state divvy it up? I mean, do they?
Just say 3 for me, 1 for you.
Yeah, but I mean, is it based on geography, so like if we own the school, if that oil
Well,
well is in the district's
right.
property, we're supposed to get all of that back, or do they?
No, we get a percentage.
We get-
That's concessions.
Yeah, so, and that's the other part, right, is every time they have legislative session, they can take a bigger chunk of it. So, yeah, it's impossible to budget for because, that's just it, it's, 18 months from now, when you know what's going on, how much oil is produced right now at whatever dollar per barrel, by the time we can get it, they can change what they're taking to the, the other part of the state. So yeah, it's just kind of cross your fingers and hope for the best, basically.
And they actually have gone after it, and what we get is less than we used to.
Oh, yeah, it's
By a
no
long
less
shot.
than, no
And we actually had to have this original budget hearing by tonight, but what we're going to ask you to do is to consider what they call continuing the meetings. We have to pick another date before the 25th of August, and we should have everything ready to go by then.
Well, appreciate your explanation. It's good, it's really.
Well, and I hope it gives you some, if you have questions, call. 'Cause
Be careful.
It's, it's a lot. I mean,
It is a lot.
it's been 30 years, and the whole thing is, you know, and like every time you think you know it, they change it, like going to the countywide levy for the base budget.
Well, and this year
That's
the
kinda
commission on funding was meeting the 10-year decennial study on that, so they're going to be making recommendations on funding again at the legislature this year. It's gonna be one of the bigger
You mentioned
discussions.
that the high school district gets some money, but the elementary doesn't.
Yeah.
Are you able to is there any like?
That's where we're looking at, where we'll probably have at the next budget meeting, where we take some out of that flex fund and put it in that 182, and that will help us with pay
And
for
there's
some
no
of these.
stipulations like, well, if it goes to high school, it has to stay in high
No.
school.
No, we do those,
It's called an
Once
interlocal
it's in
agreement,
district,
or,
then you.
right.
yeah, we do that every year.
Yeah, it's tough because 3 of our buildings are in the elementary district, and most of our staff is in the elementary district, the high school district is yes.
So I guess I will need to have a motion on moving the meeting, and then I also need to know what you think about putting oil and gas in the technology funds. Do you want to look at just doing 200,000 in the elementary and 50,000 in the high school? It was 200,000 in the high school last year, but they have a really healthy cash balance. And like I said, if we put it in the flex fund, you can still use it for technology. Flex fund allows us a lot of flexibility. The only thing we cannot pay out of there is any classified salaries.
Right, yeah. So if we do this, we have that meeting on the 24th, that would be all right.
Is that a month?
That's a month.
I will not be here, but you guys can do it.
Either of you two will be here.
Oh, you're going to?
I mean, it's the balance, right, of giving you guys enough time,
Yeah, I know.
you know, versus us. I mean, I'm good, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, week before, I think. Wednesday probably works best for me, but
The 19th.
the 19th,
Is that enough time?
You'll have to be.
I mean, if you guys are both on the 24th, we're kinda
Yeah.
hurting on that.
Yeah, I'm leaving on vacation.
The 19th work for everybody?
I can make it too.
Yes, well,
I'll send out a reminder on that.
okay, do I have a motion to, what do you say?
Continue.
Continue the budget meeting to the 19th of August. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Vote, carried. I think we do what you recommended for the budget.
Okay.
With switching the technology fund, and we'll stick with your recommendations. They haven't scared me wrong in 20 years.
All right, next on the agenda is, consideration for the 2026-2027 City Public School Activity Ticket and Participation Fees. In accordance to policy 7424, Part C, the current fees for activity ticket prices are as follows. Activity tickets rates K-12 are $50, participation fee 5-12 were $70. Participation fee grade 4 was $35, and all-season adult tickets were $120. In an effort to attract more people to our school events, it's been recommended that we change the fee structure to the following, beginning with the 26-27 school year. The fees, activity prices would be as followed. Activity tickets for grade K-12 would be $25. Participation fee for grades 6-12 would be $100. Participation fee for grades 4-5 would be $35. Family maximum fee would be $250. So that's families with multiple children participating. All-season tickets prior to November 1st would be $120. All-season tickets after November 1st would be $50. And the reason for that is the fall ones up to November, you have more activities page 14 is the participation split. So that recommendation would be then to take all the money and put it into athletics or to activities and not having it split.
Is that activity cards you're talking about or participation fee? Because participation fee is set to be split by the number of participants in each activity that travels.
Danny, can you fill us in on that?
I don't know, I think it's participation.
I think it was participation,
But-
it wasn't activity.
So it also gets divvied up into like class accounts, like the freshman class account, sophomore class account.
Participation does
So
not.
that's just activity.
does.
Okay, so participation is broken up into the different funds based off of the number.
The number of
Yeah,
participants.
so the activity fee is what we were talking about potentially changing. So our activity ticket fee gets split up into the class accounts and the student council, into a handful of different things. And what we had visited about was, it's no different than the gate. All of the gate goes in to help fund our activities. And all of those clubs and organizations have the ability to fundraise specifically through talent, through our concession stand, which has a good return for our students who participate in it. And so eliminating the split, because it's pretty nominal. I mean, you're talking usually a dollar out of 25 goes to student council. And allowing those clubs to fundraise and then using that money then to build our activities budget a little bit, or athletics fund a little bit more. So it would be the same as gate, because of the activity ticket and paying to get into a game are essentially the same thing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but even though it's called athletics in the ASB, like when your band
Yeah.
travels for divisionals or
Yep.
whatever, their expenses come out of there also.
Well, yeah, so,
And speech and drama.
yep.
So the recommendation would be to accept the recommendation for the change in fee structure listed in policy 7425, beginning with the 26-27 school year. That would be the activity fees and the activity tickets. And to change the current distribution for activity tickets for the 26-27 school year.
Okay, you just changed the recommendation.
They did.
Is that a hassle?
Setting it up in Infinite Campus isn't a hassle as far as assessing the fees and keeping track of like the family maximums a little bit. The rest of it, like the distribution from the activity ticket itself is gonna make it way easier on our business managers and our accounting.
And if I'm correct, they were holding off selling them as of right now.
They are,
and
yeah.
charging the participation fees until a decision
Until
was
it's
made,
approved,
so you
yeah.
don't have to go back and reimburse or anything else.
Yeah, so the overall fee for participation goes up to 125 from 120, but we're lowering the cost for kids to go to games if they aren't in sports by half, basically.
But it's still a mandatory activity ticket if you're inactive.
If you're in.
So the family maximum would be 2 participation fees and 2 activity tickets. So if you had more than 3, you wouldn't have to pay for 3, you would still just be down.
You're in.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
He's definitely.
You're losing money on the
Okay, yeah, I mean, obviously, usually my only concern with changing how we distribute money is it make it harder on the admin staff. And if it's making it easier, I'm all in favor of it. So do I have a motion?
Oh, no.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, next on the agenda, I believe, I lost my agenda sheet, so we're on substitute pay scale. The 2025-2026 pay scale for substitute teachers, all the following were based on a 7.5-hour day. Teachers and subs with or without a teaching degree made $113 per day. For a 7.5-hour day, that comes out to $15.06 per hour. An aide position was $15.50 per hour, or $116 per day. A Title I aide was $18.25 per hour, or $136.87 a day. School secretary was $16 an hour, so $120 a day, and the cafeteria custodial was $17 an hour and $127 a day. The recommendation, or what they'd like to change to, is the teacher sub, all of the following are based on a 7.5-hour day. Teacher sub with or without a teaching degree is $120 a day, which works out to $16 an hour. Aide positions would be $16 an hour. Title I aides would be $16 an hour. School secretaries would be $16 an hour, and custodial and cafeteria would be $16. So everybody would be at $120 per hour.
No.
The current pay scale for substitutes was structured so that staff that's substituted as a teacher would be making less per day than staff who are substituting for an aide. To address this, we are recommending a flat fee of $120 per day, regardless of the position being subbed for. The only exception to this is a certified teacher who previously taught in our district would still receive $150 per day. Recommendation, I recommend adopting the new pay scale of $120 per day for substitutes regardless of the position, with the exception of the certified teacher who previously taught in our district.
How much do aides get paid a day normally, an actual aide?
Depends on how many years of experience. The base salary is $16 an hour.
Okay, so the subs would be making more than?
No,
Okay.
no, that's at the base salary.
The aides also have the opportunity to move over. If they've had some continuing education, they can move over.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, next on the agenda is a request from Aukenborn, from Gassinger Oil. And we get these periodically. Sidney Public Schools has received a purchase offer from Gassinger Oil Companies, Aukenborn of Sidney, Montana, to purchase the district's mineral interest located in Township 23, North Range 59 East, sections 28, 29, 32, and 33. The offer is for $11,942.62 based on $1,850 per net mineral acre. The current producing wells are identified as the City of Sidney wells. Mineral rights are a finite, long-term asset. Once sold, they cannot be recovered. Retaining ownership preserves the opportunity for future royalty income and appreciation in value. The offer represents a one-time payment. While the immediate revenue may be attractive, it is not reflective of the long-term value of the mineral interest, particularly in future development or production occurs. As the district is not under any financial pressure to liquidate the asset unless there is a compelling financial need that outweighs the long-term benefits of ownership, retaining the mineral right interest is the most prudent course. Recommendation is to decline the mineral purchase offer from Gassinger Oil Companies, Aukenborn, and retain ownership in the district's mineral interest located in Township 23, North Range 59 East, sections 28, 29, 32, and 33.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, consideration of vehicle bids. The board voted to purchase a new traffic education vehicle in April of 2024. It was decided that the 2012 Dodge Caravan and the 2006 Jeep Cherokee were being underutilized and it would be logical to sell. They advertised in the paper of the district intentions to sell the 2012 Caravan and the 2006 Jeep Cherokee. All bids to purchase the vehicles were required to be in a sealed envelope and delivered to the district office by 12 p.m. on Monday, August 10th. from Tammy Edger for $975. Fourth bid was from Tammy Edger for $990. The fifth bid was from Tammy Edger for $995. The sixth bid was from Tammy Edger for $1,000, and the seventh bid was from Tammy Edger for $1,005.
Do we know what that's like, yeah, do we know?
That's a 2012, no.
What is it,
I
What's the
don't know, it's a 2006 Dodge,
It's
or
gonna be
2012 Dodge Caravan.
Honestly, for $30, I almost think we go with the lowest bid.
we are in the
I
hole.
would say no.
She's, yeah, the bus secretary.
She's a bus.
We're gonna drive the special ed bus.
Oh, is that town?
I mean, I'll go with whatever anybody says, I mean, $30 is $30, I guess, but,
Probably in super good condition. Is it?
I mean, it's one of those things, we treat it like eBay.
It's the former, it had a lot of stop and go on it and needed to be
Driver's ed.
replaced.
Oh, okay.
It
That
makes-
changes
It
it.
makes noises when you drive down the road.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, if it was 7 different people, we would take a high bid.
But if she was.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've never seen somebody outbid themselves.
Yeah, this goes against everything I'm usually for, but being that she's a district employee, and she took,
And she's the only.
She took all the time to
she
write.
spent $30 in savings.
And it was.
And envelopes, and they all were sealed, yeah, I mean, obviously,
Okay.
if it was $100, might be a little different, it's $30, she works for the district. We're hoping it makes it to her house. So,
This is your first one.
Do you need a motion?
Make a motion.
so, we have a motion on, accepting the Dodge Caravan bid.
For $975.
Well, whoever makes the motion.
I will make a motion, I will move to sell the Dodge Caravan to Tammy Eddinger for $975.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Sorry, Nikki. I'll drink one less water every meeting.
And we only had one bid on the Jeep Cherokee, 2006 Jeep Cherokee. I don't know if it has the miles on here, does it have the miles?
It did.
Anyway, the bid of this one was from Brenda Chemis, our head custodian at the high school, and she gave a bid of $300 for Jeep Cherokee.
Hmm.
You can say that you'd like to have it listed.
I mean, yes, we can, we don't have to accept a bid, but again, it's kinda like when we sold the bus to the baseball.
Yeah.
Like, we got nothing for that in essence, but at the same time, we almost had to do it because of insurance reasons, we're not really in that boat here, but it's just sitting there, taking up space.
Probably other district employees who would, I didn't even know they were.
Right, I mean, the problem is, then it becomes an event, right? Everybody hears that it was $300, then you get 700 bids of everybody trying to one-up themselves by, $5. Yeah, I'm not that excited.
You can open 300 envelopes.
Yeah, I mean, it's an '06, again, it's been beat up and just kind of driven around in town, so every mile on it it's probably ran twice as long as the miles. It sits outside the buildings while people run in and run in, so,
How many miles are on it?
we don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's,
That one was up like in the 150s last I saw.
I mean, occasionally they would take it out of town for things, but a lot of the traffic is between schools.
It was used for driver's ed, and then, it was used by the West Side custodian to drive, pick up mail and do things back and forth that way, so.
And how much does it cost us to store it?
It's actually storing outside because we don't have space for it.
Yeah.
And the insurance is probably about $875 a year.
Yeah, so, yeah, so,
We had to take our lunch van in to have some, valve work done on it because we couldn't get it over 25 miles an hour. And you had this discussion earlier, it's diesel and it only has 36,000 miles on it, but the stop and go and the running of the diesel, it's running us, causing us some issues. So we took it down to have the replacement parts done, and Action Auto had just received a van that was very similar to ours in 2025. This one is gas and not diesel, and Action Auto was willing to do a $40,000 difference plus a $150 dock fee, so it'd be $40,150 to swap out our current van and replace it with one that is very similar but has gas instead of diesel.
What's the value of the new van?
I don't know if he has that, he has the specs and stuff included in here for it.
Our current van got fixed, so.
I believe so, he took it down to have the part taken care of, was a transmission valve. I just had a similar repair done on my pickup that cost me about $3,600 to repair it, and mine was not a diesel, it was a gas. Our current van is 18 years old with 36,552 miles on a diesel engine. Action Auto's 2025 cargo van with 2,025 miles on the odometer. The van is similar to the van we're currently using, except it has a gas engine, and I don't know if he has the value of that on here.
Well, is
The one they've got on his website is 44, well,
I can give you the VIN number if you'd like the VIN number to look it up.
I don't think they have any vans on there. So I'm guessing it's a 25 cargo
the
van.
diesel engine was only 30.
And it's nothing that we have to do, I'm just letting you know that this was an opportunity that came up, the department asked me to.
I can't.
Yeah. I'm sure that we would have to go to bid on that. And then can we trade, or since it's,
We can trade as long as it's written in the bid document that you're going to trade.
say, without a vote, the board is authorized to dispose of a site, building, or any other real or personal property of the district that is or is about to become abandoned, obsolete, undesirable, or unsuitable for school purposes. The trustees must pass a resolution stating their decision to dispose of the property, and the resolution becomes effective 14 days after advertising notice to dispose of the listed property. The taxpayer may appeal the resolution at any time prior to the effective date of the resolution. So this doesn't mean that we're going to run the obsolete sale. When I contacted the building administrators in Martin and the custodians, I don't think we probably have enough this year to run an obsolete sale. But this does give us the option that if we get to the point where we need to run an obsolete sale, then you've given permission for us to do that. Am I right about that, Nikki?
Yeah, we usually do this annually.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Moving and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
And this is
Aye.
tied to Ben's.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Other information that's in your packet, there is a letter here from Felt Martin, which is another school legal firm in the state of Montana, similar to what Via Calva does for us. And they are having a change in their fee structure. And so they sent it to us to let us know that if we do decide to use them for any reason, what their fee structure is. There's no action we need to take on it. Just to let us know that they've had a change in their fee structure. I don't know, we don't have used Philip Martin for a while. It's mostly been going through Via Calva for that purpose. Then there is the bill from Olson Plumbing in here, from the middle school to replace the water heater. Unfortunately, when the water heater started to leak, they no longer make that model of water heater, so we couldn't buy parts to replace it. We ended up having to replace the entire water heater. And then there are some letters of resignation and some letters of transfer in here. On page 93 is the letter from Landon White to transfer into the assistant business manager's position. Page 94 is the letter of resignation from Julie Batty, the secretary at Central. Page 95 is Latasha Boyson's letter of resignation from the Central Special Education, our middle school special education. 96 is Carl Dennison's resignation from high school principal. 97 is Cedric Halverson's resignation from middle school and high school music. 98 is a letter from Travis Morrill resigning his position as the football coach. 99 is the letter of resignation from Mary Ann Murby from Westside part-time secretary. Page 100 is a letter of resignation from Lonnie Swigert from middle school football. And that's the only one on that one. Page 101 is a letter of resignation from Jeff Sawani from high school assistant boys basketball coach. Page 102 is a request to transfer from the role of activity director to the role of assistant principal by Ashley Koppel. And that is it. Tablets, yes. Ben brought up that maybe if you guys don't want the full paper versions of these, purchasing either iPads or Microsoft Surface equipment for board members so that you can have the digital copy of the board report and not have the printed out copies of the board report. Is there any discussion or anything, if anybody's interested in that? Caution. You can get them on your cell phone, but it's hard to look at your cell phone and try to read it all.
I don't need the board to buy me a tablet.
Well, can I use?
We use our own.
I mean, you can always use your own. Like,
Yeah,
I use mine.
We already had some in here that we bought just one.
Yeah, I mean, so we've had the Chromebooks, but, I mean, the Chromebooks aren't the best.
And that's, they might. I just wanna be able to, you know, like on Adobe where you can put a little mark
it was just a thought, because we spend a lot of money printing this stuff out also,
I don't know.
so I'm trying to save $30.
Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, right?
you know, if you have an iPad or a computer and you're happy using that, if you want to do the paper, you know, we can. I'm just trying to think of like, you know, what we can do to save a few dollars and not waste it, 'cause I know, I mean, I have all the emails still, so I can look up everything, and this just goes in the garbage as soon as the meeting's over.
I can bring a computer, does anyone need to print it, I guess?
I guess I'm like the only one who prefers print.
And that's fine, that's fine.
I like to stay at my room.
Well, Landon asked me before every board meeting how many copies we need to print
Right.
out, and, I mean,
One?
if, yeah, if you guys are fine.
Because we always have, the agenda, so we will all have a paper agenda if you want, you know, so that way you can follow along with that, but you can scroll through the rest, because obviously I always have my agenda off to the side as we go through. But yeah, so I guess if anyone feels like they would like a tablet of some sort, provided by the district,
Let me know.
let Tom know. If you're, or if you want a paper copy, let Tom know. Beyond that, if you've got your own, obviously, you can bring it. And if it's last minute, and you forgot your tablet, we can get one printed, but.
And one other thing to bring up to the board, Karen Mormon, and Shelley Peters made our lunch today for the PIR day, and we generally pay Karen for her time for preparing that meal for us. This year, she has requested that we use that money to pay her to pay off, meal debt for students. And she's asked that the board match that